right, talking about solving problems. Well, there was a lot of intro music right there because I was trying to solve a problem. And we have, can you believe it or not, a book called From Problem Solving to Solution Design, Turning Ideas into Actions. Eduardo Campos is on the phone. Eduardo spent 13 years at Microsoft as a cybersecurity advisor, and he led innovative projects at the highest levels of government in the United States and abroad. He works with organizations and entrepreneurs to develop customized business strategies, and the book again is called From Problem Solving to Solution Design. And I just had to solve a problem while he was waiting patiently on the phone.
He's wonderful.
Eduardo, thank you so much for being on with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Seattle.
All right. Well, thank you for calling all the way out. Wow, you got up early to be with us, huh?
Yeah, but it's a pleasure.
So the problem solving that we have in today's world seems to be all about the computer. Like if we went back 100 years, obviously the problems were different, right?
Yeah.
So the problems you work with, are they mostly cybersecurity problems?
Not exactly, because I spent 25 years in cybersecurity. When I left Microsoft, I decided to write a book about solution design, but I have been focusing on helping CIOs, chief security officers, the C-suite that we call the chief executive officer, and so on, to identify strategies to address cybersecurity threats and what should they do, because usually organizations play a game that is not working, that is putting all their chips on technology,
right.
And it's not about technology. But in our company, we go beyond cybersecurity.
Are the problems that need to be solved all caused by somebody, or are sometimes the problems not really blamable? Are like for example, if somebody hijacks my website or whatever and has a ransom, I can't get back to my website unless I send them, $5,000 or whatever. That's one kind of problem. But are some of the other problems not really blamable?
Yeah, actually, I'd say that if we get to the point where we are trying to blame the source of the problem, it's too late in the game.
Okay.
Ideally, we would have to think of the potential problems in advance and design strategies for when the problem happens, that we can recover from failure and recover to the situation that we were before. In this case you are mentioning, it usually happens because something failed along the way. Passwords were weak. There was software on the website that was outdated. There was public information in the public that shouldn't be, so the hackers were able to get that information and use against you.
Oh, really?
So that's how it works.
So will the book help me fix the problems that I might have in my small little world, or is this mostly for the large corporations?
No, that's a good question. When we wrote the book, our idea was to focus on large organizations, because it doesn't matter if it's a government agency, if it is a corporation or a not-for-profit, a large foundation. All of them have similar problems. But when we published the book and started talking to the people, and we had a book roadshow, it was clear to us that the feedback we're getting was, even for using the framework, we created a framework based on the initials of the actions you have to take, that it's very useful for personal problem solving. That was not our initial goal, just because it's a structured way to approach problem solving.
So tell me about the book. Is the book for me, the layperson, or is the book for somebody who has a little bit more understanding of technology?
No, it's for the people that are not into technology. Actually,
that's
we
me.
Try to that I don't know about your knowledge of technology, but the because of your experience working in radio for so many years, I believe you went through all the evolution of technology. So it is for people that want to understand step by step, or what are the actions that need to be taken to this. And we usually say it's a different take. It's not only problem solving; it's solution design. It's moving from the problem to the solution. Because as you were mentioning in the beginning, when you really stick to the problem, people tend to go through a blame game, and they keep running around on the problem, and nobody steps out of the problem and goes for the solution. So our take is you should go and try to listen to your stakeholders, listen to the people impacted by the problem, and start creating prototypes, as we call, of the solutions, and try then out with your stakeholders, or your peers, your manager, your clients, and then as you hone in on the solutions, you pick the best one. That's our take.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
How to choose the best ones? You talk about critical checkpoints.
Yes, we call Robbie. We call critical checkpoints because the checkpoint concept is that you have to check in, do some work, check out, and go to another checkpoint, instead of a step-by-step approach where you have to finish one to go to the next one. In life, many times you have to work in parallel. So while I'm trying to identify the root cause of the problem I have at hand, I might at the same time start thinking of the potential solutions for that problem. Let's say you were talking about security, cybersecurity. If I've been on a recurring path of a virus infection of my computers. So as I try to identify what's happening, I can start thinking of the solutions. I should install an antivirus. I should have a stronger password. I should avoid opening attachments to my email, and so on. So while you're trying to identify the root cause, you are already thinking of potential solutions.
So does the book help us weed out the mistakes we've made so that we don't find ourselves vulnerable?
Yes. One of the checkpoints we have is called sustain. We talk about recovering from failure. Because I work a lot with the startups. And in the startup world, there's a saying that says, if you have to fail fast. It means don't prolong your suffering. If something is not working, it's better to change the focus and go for something else.
Oh, really?
So, but as quick as possible, because then you are going to have spent less money and less time on something that's not working. But to recover from failure, it's not just, now I'm going to recover from failure. You need a structured process to recover from failure, to learn from your mistakes, to learn from the situation, what happened.
Yeah. Now, in the business world, business has changed because of technology, but some of the problems are probably the same, even though a problem I might have had in business, let's say 20 years ago, it still exists today, but it exists in a computer kind of a world.
Yes, I would agree with you. We unfortunately, what we did in many cases was just to automate the problem. So now we are we make stupider mistakes faster.
Okay.
Because of the computer.
Okay, so when we use an app or a program that automates it, we're actually putting our safety, our security in somebody else's hands. We're trusting somebody else.
Yes, exactly. That's why one of the recommendations usually we have in cybersecurity is trust the source. So if you are going to download an app, it should be from the Apple Store or from the Microsoft Store or from the Google Store. Why? Because we are trusting they have a process, because they are a large organization, and they are going to screen out those applications against cybersecurity threats. It doesn't work that way all the time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they end up making mistakes, but the chances that they are going to do a good job are greater than just download applications from a website that you've never heard of.
And there are a variety of variables when a person is faced with finding a solution, because when you're an automobile mechanic and you're looking at an engine, everything seems constant because that engine works in a certain way. But if you're talking about finding a solution to a business where there are a lot of people involved, each person is part of the problem or the solution.
You are completely right, Robin. That's why one of the checkpoints we have is engage your stakeholders in the solution. Why? Because the solution will impact them. They have to know what is the impact on them. What are the pros and cons of the solution you are designing? And they need to know those pros and cons from their perspective. And how do you get that perspective? Mm-hmm. You not only have to talk to them, you have to listen to them. This way, they will feel as much ownership for the solution as you feel.
What do you recommend for somebody who wants to get honest feedback from those people who would kind of be in the same profession? Because you want feedback from people who know what you do, but how do you solicit that? How do you do that?
Well, today it's a little bit easier because you have platforms for social connection. Even Facebook today has applications for connecting peers in an organization. You have LinkedIn, that is a professional social platform. So it's easier to ask for feedback, and it's easy to put out a survey. But I'd say that one way that we do that in organizations is by defining what are we trying to achieve together,
right.
and then put metrics to that. Because if you don't measure, you don't know. So you together with your peers, your stakeholders, sometimes in some organizations your manager, you define together what is that you are trying to achieve together. So how does success look like? And then on top of those metrics, you put values and say, by this time by April 2019, I will have achieved X, Y, and Z sales, and then you are able to measure success, or why I didn't achieve that and why I achieved, together with your peers.
So the success that you are experiencing with the book is evident in the 17 customer reviews. Every single reviewer is giving you 5 stars. You're obviously doing something right with the book. You're hitting a nerve with people. The book is called Problem Solving Solution Design. It is written by our guest, Eduardo Campos, and Erica Campos. Who's Erica? Is that your wife?
Erica is my wife. Erica still works at Microsoft, and she had a career there. But I convinced her to write the book with me because she has a very rich experience in designing solutions for complex problems. She's an expert in compliance, governance. So you have to talk to people, you have to understand what they are doing, and then when you talk about ethics and you talk about goals to achieve as an organization, it really is all about solution design. So we wrote the book together and survived our marriage.
A person also has to value the input of the new kid on the block, because sometimes when there are businesses and they're used to doing things one way, then there's this camaraderie there, and then there's a new person that comes into the mix trying to fit in, but they also want to express their own ideas on their observations as to how things could be done better or more efficiently.
Yes, you are right. one thing that we always see, and when you compare younger professionals and more experienced professionals, and we see different styles of doing that. So when I was a young chief information security officer in a large telecom company, I got there and I wanted to change the world. And then my manager sat down with me and said, you have 10 items that you want to accomplish this year. Let's do this way. 2. And let's measure success on a quarterly basis. And if progress is being made, we can do that. So I was able to achieve 4 big goals instead of 2, but not 10. He was completely right. I needed to listen to people. I needed to understand the organization. I need to walk around and talk to everyone. I had to listen to clients, although I was in a back office profession. I had to go and talk to the clients to understand their pain. That's the way you, as a new kid on the block, you have success.
If you, I've spoken to a couple of young guys who work for companies, and their jobs are this. They seem to be the same, and that is that they actually try to hack into computer systems to be one step ahead of the bad guys. And I said, well, I mean, do you have to always do that, or is, and it's an everyday thing. When as soon as they solve a problem, they have to find another problem to solve. It's a never-ending thing. Is that the same thing you're experiencing?
It is, and not only in cybersecurity, but in life, I believe. It is a continual process. And that's a mistake that some people make, that when they finally have something implemented, like a situation in cybersecurity, though, now we were able to clean up everything, we are safe and we are secure. It's not forever.
No.
So you have to keep assessing the threats. You have to keep assessing the situation, talking to people, engaging to everybody involved. We call stakeholders, and then go to the beginning. It's a continual process.
So this is a philosophy in a way. I mean, the book is more than just about technology.
Yes, that's. You mentioned the reviews we've got in Amazon. I don't know people that are giving those reviews. I know a couple of them, but people that wrote to us and said, left messages in our website and said, this changed my life. I didn't expect that, because it's not complicated. It's so simple. I actually, one of them wrote, I had this information in my hands all the time, but I didn't think in a structured way. So it was a surprise to us, because we were meant to write something to help large organizations and not even affect people's lives on an individual basis.
One of the things, on a real simple example, I think, is what we see in radio. We see people who have a new business and they don't have much budget for advertising, and that's how we make our living. And at the same time, we don't want to tell somebody to spend their money if it's not going to make them money. So an advertisement has to be an investment. And there's a long period of time when the salespeople trying to sell the ad can come to a campaign for a client that will actually serve them and not be a problem, because you don't want to spend your money on a problem. You want to spend your money on a solution.
You are right on the point, Larry. It is what you are saying has to do with what we write in the book about understanding what is the impact your solution has. When you are designing a solution, what is the impact that's going to have? Is that really going to help solve the problem? Because if it's not, why are you going to down the path? And it's normal to get infatuated by your own solution, and you think, oh, this is going to solve all the problems in the world. And actually, it's not. So you need to really be sure that what you are designing is addressing the problem's root cause. And that's the big mistake organizations make. And actually, we make in life, when we face a problem, we tend to go immediately in a fire drill mode and we try to run around and solve things without looking at what's happening.
Right.
And identifying the root cause.
I think we also try to solve other people's problems, and that's not always good because we're taking attention away from the things we should be looking at in our own lives. But this happens to all of us. I think about a parent of an adult child. That would be me.
And me. I have to.
I mean, sometimes you try to figure out a solution to their problems, and you think, well, wait a minute, they need to figure out their own solutions, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, Larry. What we can do in this case usually is to prepare people to solve their problems. And I believe that we just gave a class here at the University of Washington a couple weeks ago, and we were teaching how to use this framework we put together in the book, the ideas framework, to help them solve problems. And a couple of students came to us and said, I've been waiting for so long for someone to solve the problem in our organization. Actually, now that I have something that I can use, I can do it myself instead of waiting for the shiny armor, the knight in shiny armor, running a white horse to come and save me.
Let me ask you something. I have a couple of things I want to ask you, but let me start with this one. It's sometimes the hardest part is not solving the problem, but identifying it, right?
Yes, you are right. Identify the root cause of the problem, as we write in the book. I can give you an example. If you have, there's the story of the wise gardener. I don't know if you know it, but it is an inexperienced gardener. Look at a tree, a fruit tree, and the branches are drooping, the leaves are wilting, the fruits are rotting, and the inexperienced gardener goes and tries to spray water on the leaves, tries to prop up each branch individually, and nothing happens. The wise gardener, on the other hand, brings a bucket of water and dumps it at the roots of the tree, and the tree comes back to life. Mm-hmm. So the wise gardener is treating the root cause of the problem.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
So instead of going one by one, piece by piece, and that's usually what we do when we face a problem.
Do you know there's an element of mystery to problem solving, and I'm guessing that what I'm going to tell you is probably something that's happened to you and to everybody. And here's what it is. Let's say I have a problem, and it is just not going away, and I can't figure it out, and I'm just going nuts until the point where I say, you know what, I'm just not even going to worry about it. So I get in the car, and I'm listening to music, I'm not even thinking about it, and all of a sudden the solution comes to me, almost like by magic. Has that ever happened to you?
It happens all the time. And when we were researching for the book, we've got to a couple of pieces of research to talk about that, and it's called stepping back. When you face, and this is a recommendation we make, when you are faced with a complex problem that you have no clue how to solve it, you have to disengage, step back, think of the big perspective. It's like you are looking at the tree, and then you step back, you go up, and you look at the forest,
right?
And then sooner or later, the potential solutions will come up to your mind.
I love this topic. This is fascinating and goes beyond what I expected it to go to. All right, let's see. I found the book on Amazon. It's got really good reviews. In fact, 5-star reviews across the board. There's nothing other than 5-star reviews. It's called Problem Solving Solution Design. It's written by Eduardo Campos and Erica Campos. Actually, J. Eduardo is how you're listed, and Erica W. Campos. Let's see. I found it on the web, on Amazon. Do you have a different website you want to direct us to?
Yes, we have the author website is Campos.com. Campos.com.
Both in E Campos?
Because it's Eduardo and Erica.
Oh, got it. Okay, excellent. Wow, no wonder you're getting good reviews. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you for being on the show with us today. That was really inspirational.
Thank you so much. It was great speaking with you and Robbie.
Thank you. All right, we'll be right back. Here is your 1-minute news brief. At least 2 massive